as most of you know already. So this week we're looking at rule breakers, like Claire said, and so we're going to look at games that are just a little bit break the mold in either terms of like mechanics and also components and boards, that sort of thing. So we're going to look at quite a few games, but not in very much depth. Okay, so that was the idea. Yeah, so Izzy's going to suggest some more events because she's not quite busy enough with the events we've got on. Okay, so the first one we're going to look at is the Faceless. Okay, comes in a huge box. And the quirky thing about the Faceless is that all of your characters, they're little miniatures, and they've got a magnet in the base. And there's a compass in the game. And so your characters move by, you can see that, moving the arrow around on the compass. Okay, so it's a really quirky little game. It's very like, in other ways, you know, we looked at Tales of Evil in the first session, if you were in the first session. It's very like that. So if people who weren't here, it's kind of got a bit of a Stranger Things vibe to it. It's about a gang of kids. One of the children has gone missing and the rest of the gang have to, yeah, it's so cool. The rest of the gang have to find the child. Okay, so they're working together against this creature, which is called Billy Goat. I haven't painted my miniatures, which is very remiss, but I know I've seen some glorious pictures online where people have painted them up and they look amazing. So I'll just show you the board and just show you how it works. It's just really quirky. So that's the board there, she says. Yeah, so that's the board. So what happens is you move, you see the characters around the outside of the board. If I just come out a little bit. Yeah, you move those around the edge. So you play cards that allow you to move the characters. And the object of the game is to collect these purple tokens. So these are the child's memories. The child who's gone missing has scattered their memories along the place. So if you can collect all of their memories, then you can rescue them. That's the story. So to do that, you move these characters along the edge. And the reason for that is what you're actually trying to do is you're actually, let me just try and just fiddle with my camera a bit. You're actually trying to maneuver this piece, so the compass. Now the compass is called the team. Okay, so the compass is all of you. You're working as a team. And what happens is as you move these characters, can you see the needles spinning? So what happens is the team moves in the direction of the needle. So if I move the team all the way over to this character, then when I move this character into this space, the next time I move the team, I've got to move it in the direction of the red arrow. So when it was here, this character, the team would go this way. But if I can move this character, the team moves that way, however many spaces. And so by manipulating it, you pick up all these pieces, but this character also moves, Billy Goat. If these two coincide, go onto the same space, then you've lost the game. So you've got to also be careful how you move these around because that affects the direction in which the compass goes. And these three little characters around the side that you're moving around will affect, they don't affect it when they're quite far away, but as they get closer, they can affect the polarity, I think is the word, of the magnet. So yeah, so that's that game. And I just thought I would show you that because it's so quirky and so unusual. Yeah. So did anyone want to ask me anything about that game? I've proper rattled through it. Oh, so this game is called the Faceless. Okay, I'll type it in the chat and then you've got it written down. And it's got, it's one of those, it comes with all different booklets and things. So you can play, there's different games you can play with it and it's all cooperative. So yeah. So I don't know if anyone else has any questions on that one. No, that's fine. Never seen it. That's a really good question, Izzy. It doesn't work as well as it could. Like there are definitely times where you feel like this is clunky. Do you know what I mean? It's yeah, it could do with some refining. I think the whole game could do with some refining though. It's not just the magnetic feature, but I think they've been so excited by the magnets and the compass that there are elements of the game that don't play as well as other games. But I think with a bit more work, it could be a great game. And I just thought it was just a really interesting. Yeah, so there's cards in the game. So it actually comes on like, there's a big board with it. And on your turn, you're kind of, just dropped something. On your turn, you're just, you're drawing cards into your hand, and each of you's got different cards, and then you're playing your cards to maneuver the characters. So yeah. Yeah. Okay. So is that all right? Okay. So the next game I'm going to show you is called Subterra. Now, one of the reasons I'm going to show you this is I know that I've gone on and on and on about representation. Every week I've had a little rant. This game does it right, and I thought it'd be nice to look at one that gets it right. So I'll show you the characters. So this is the medic. Okay, so this is a cooperative game as well. You're working together. So that's your medic there. And each of them there's a little booklet in the game, and it tells you a little backstory about most of them. Okay, the exception to that is, where is he? This one is called Jay, and he's your bodyguard. Now, it's really good because, oh, someone's just arriving. Hi. Hello. I just got muted. It's fine. Like, oh, that's enough. That's enough about Jay. So I'll just recap for the person who's just joined. We're just looking at a game called Subterra, and we were just looking at the characters in it. So they all come with a little booklet, but Jay is this kind of mysterious, shadowy character, and no one knows much about him. So his booklet is quite comical because it's got in, like, everyone else has got like their age and what jobs they did. And this one's just a bit like, Jay doesn't like to talk about his past work. And he's a bodyguard, and he's like the toughest character. I always like to be him. Having known there's not enough women, I'm always him when I play, because I'm like, yeah, he's proper nails. No one's messing with him. So, and then there's the engineer. Okay, all sensibly dressed. It's hot in the caves, but they're sensibly dressed. The leader, I like this one. She's got a niqab on, and I just think that's just great. And so she's the leader of the expedition. Just brilliant. Then we've got the diver. And then we've got the climber. The geologist. So as well, there's loads of choice, isn't there? Yeah. And we've got the scout as well, who's got like really cool hair. So there's a really good choice of characters, and you can see they've included different genders, different ages, different everything. It's just really good. So I just thought I'd show you that as like a nice kind of thing to think about. The game itself is about being trapped under, so different. Yeah, so different. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And so the story of the game is that you are trapped in an underground cave system, and you've got to lay tiles to discover the exit and then move towards the exit. But there are all different things that can go wrong. So you can get like gas leaks, cave-ins, floods, and also these shadowy creatures called horrors that lurk in the caves. And if you disturb the horrors, so if you turn over a tile that's got a horror on it, it spawns, and then it moves towards the nearest character, and if it gets on your tile, it kills you. So you've got to kind of outrun the horrors or defeat them. So it's a really nice little game. I love it. I do love a cooperative game though. But the other thing it does, which I really like, is it's got UV light. So it's got like, so they're your little tiles. Yeah, it's a really good one. And they've done a second one. They've done Subterra 2, which the story is that you've got out of the caving system, but you've got to escape this erupting volcano. So you're just beset by issues. So I've got a little black light there. I don't know if you can see properly, but it kind of glows. So that's just like completely unnecessary, but just a super cool touch. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just makes it just all the more immersive, the experience. So you've got your like, yeah. And it's quite good because then I bought a set of torches for it because that's the kind of thing I do. And it's just really cool if you play it in the pub and you're all there with your torches, like finding your way out. It's just nice. Do you know what I mean? The first time I took it to an event, the people I played it with, we played with our torches and they were like, we should build like a blanket fort in the pub and play it in there. It's like, yeah, we should. Oh, I'm glad you said that, Izzy. Soundtrack. Now then, the other nice thing about this game is the makers of the game did a Spotify playlist that you could have on for the duration of the games. The game's supposed to last about an hour, and they did like, I think the playlist was like an hour and 10 minutes. And I just thought, how awesome would that be if you did like a Spotify playlist that went with your game? Like, whatever the theme of it, you could have like appropriate songs to listen to while you were doing it. And that got me thinking about, like, you could do other things as well, couldn't you? You could do like, you know, quite often people have like a games night. You could do like a menu that went with your board game. Like, you know, these are the things you eat while you're doing this game, sort of menus or recipes, or do you know what I mean? You could do all sorts with it. And I think that's why I like Subterra, because they've really kind of thought outside the box a little bit. And I like that about it. So I don't know whether anyone asked any questions in chat or said anything there. Don't know. Have a look. But yeah, soundtrack of dripping water would be just an hour of dripping water. Terrifying. Yeah, the characters are brilliant, aren't they? Did anyone want to ask me anything about that one? I'm aware that I'm rattling through, but I feel like there are dice in the game. Yeah, because what you have to do is, on your turn, you can do certain actions, like so the medic can bandage people and can sprint so they can move further, but you've got like a limited number of actions on your turn, and you can choose to exert yourself for an extra action. They're not glow in the dark, but they are that kind of UV thing again. How well you can see on the boards. It's better played in dim light, to be fair, rather than sunlight. But the dice do glow in the dark, and the dice, so if you want to exert yourself and have an extra turn, you roll the dice, and if you get lower than a 4, I think it is, you take damage. So you can push yourself. It's quite good because it's a bit like real, you know, a bit mimicking real life, isn't it? Because like in the caves, you could exert yourself and try and get further, but you might get injured or you might hurt yourself. So yeah, so it's like, it's good. Yeah. So yeah. So there are dice, and then there are cards that you turn over that trigger certain events like floods or gas leaks or the horrors moving or stuff like that. So yeah, cool. So I will show you another one that's got really cool components, which some of you might have seen before. So it's called Cash and Guns. I don't know if anyone knows that one. So in Cash and Guns, you are a gang of robbers who have worked together to rob, I don't know, a safe, a vault, I'm not sure, but you've done some sort of heist. But the trouble comes when you come to split up the loot, because obviously all of you are fundamentally terrible people and you don't want to share. So each of you gets a character. So you get a little standy character like that. And you each get, this is the good bit, you each get a foam gun. So you get your gun, right? And you also get, some bullet cards. So I've got 3 live bullets, and then I've got, I think, 5 blank bullets. So we lay out all the treasure that we've got from the safe. So we might have some paintings that we've stolen. It's so sunny in here that the light is not great, is it? So we might have paintings that we've stolen. We might just have some cash that we've stolen. So you lay all that out. You might have some diamonds. Can you even see that? Is it completely bleached out? Is that better at that angle? Yeah.
When you tilt it, you can see.
Yeah, cool. You might also get an extra bullet, or you might even get a first aid kit. So if you have been shot by one of what you previously thought were your friends, you can heal up. Okay, so you spread all that loot out, and then what happens is there's different stages of the game, and I like this as well. So this card has got on, one of you is the mob boss, and the mob boss calls all these stages of the game, so they're like in charge. Okay, so the first stage is loot, so you set out all your loot. Secondly, I choose which bullet card I'm going to play. So I decide whether I'm going to try and shoot you or whether I'm going to put a blank down, but you don't know. So I pop my cards out face down in front of me, okay? And then the next stage is the hold up. So all of us on 3, so you go 1, 2, 3, and you point your gun at whoever you want to shoot or whoever you want to psych out and get them to drop out. So now you sat around the table and it plays like 6 people. So you're all sat pointing your guns at each other. And then we have courage. So during courage, you've got your character stood up in front of you. If I feel like you're going to shoot me, I'm going to lie my character down and opt out of having a share of the loot. Okay. This means that I'm safe, that I don't get shot, but it also means I don't get a share of the loot. It's really devious. So it depends. I might ride my luck and I might stay in. If you shoot me, I get a bullet, a little bandage. And if I get 3 of those, I've lost. I'm out of the game. So any loot that I've accumulated, I lose. If I stay in the game and you shoot a blank, then I get a share of the loot. So we share out the loot between the remaining players, basically. But it also means that if you know that I've played one of my blanks, when we come to the last round, you'll know whether I've got a live bullet or not. So you can kind of start to work out, and people do similar things each turn. So you'll find that, you know, a lot of people start with a blank. So if you use a live, they're not expecting it, sort of thing. So it's nice, but it's the foam guns, I think, that definitely sell it. Just brilliant. So that was one that's interesting because it's a bit unusual because of the components, and it's quite a fun mechanic because you kind of, you know, if you're thinking of characters in your book, you could really get into character there, couldn't you? You could properly, like, you know, take on a character. So yeah. So does anyone want to say anything, ask me anything? I'll just check the chat. Oh yeah, someone's just saying they love it. It's really devious. Definitely. Yeah, definitely. So I'll show you another one that's got really cool components and a weird mechanism that's like I've not come across until I played this game. So this one is called Mythe, right? So it's a bit like Myth, but it's also a bit like mice because it's got little mice in. So it's Mythe, I think, is the actual name. So the lovely thing about this is that it's like a pop-up book. So it just opens. Oh, I've done it the wrong way. It opens like that, look. Isn't it just beautiful? So you've got your board game track around here, and you've got a little bridge here, and you've got a pen there. That's where all the mice start at the beginning of the game. And up here, you've got where the dragon sits. And the dragon, so the dragon sits at the top there. And the dragon is guarding the sacred cheese, of course, because that's what dragons guard, isn't it? So these little mice, and so there's these little tiny mice. I'll show you a different colour one. That one doesn't show it very well. The little mice start off in their little holding pen there. and then they set off round the board, and they have to try and get all the way round and up to the dragon. If they get to the dragon, they need one of 3 cards in order to take on the dragon and save the sacred cheese, presumably before it gets melted. I don't know, but it's like, do you know why he's guarding the cheese? But there we are. So quite a tenuous plot on this one, but still loads of fun. The mechanic, though, the way that you choose, the way that you act is, I'll have my hand of cards, so I might have 3 or 4 cards in my hand. It's a push your luck game. So basically you keep playing until your nerve goes, or until you draw a bad card. Let me find one that's bad. So you would, on your turn, choose cards to play from my hand or from someone else's. So we'll all be sat around and we've all got our cards, and you can choose from whoever you want. And so you just take the card and you reveal what it is. So that lets you move 1 space. So now you think, do I move 1 space and end my go, or do I keep drawing cards? Okay. And the dots on the game, if you can see the little dots on there. So to move onto that space, I need 2 more. So I need 1 to get out of the pen onto that first space, but then to move on to the next space, I need 2, a score of 2 to move. So it's not just 1 space each. They've got different values on, and you need that value in cards. So it might be, once I'm on that first space, there's no point stopping at 1 because that's not enough for me to move. So I kind of might as well keep going. So you keep drawing, and like I say, you might get a number 3 card. Oops. Or you might get one of these. So this one says, didn't realize how strong it was, and it's got little skulls on the top, and that means that your go is over. Okay. When your go ends, the person, you can from your hand then give away as many cards as you like. So you take into your hand the cards that you chose, and you can give them away. So now in my hand, I've got a card that's bad. So I'm going to want to keep that, weirdly. This is where it's a bit back to front to normal games. So because next turn you are going to choose from my hand, I'm going to want to keep that one because I want you to pick it. But I'm going to want to give away my high value card to someone so that I can then on my turn choose, hopefully, that card from their hand. So you give away as many cards as you want. You're not allowed to go below 1. You've got to have 1 card, and every player in the game at the end of each round has to have 1 card. So if I draw all of the cards from your hand, I have to give you at least 1 card. Okay. Does anybody want to ask me a question at this point, or get me to repeat anything? Because it's so back to front. It's a bit weird. Even if you just want me to say something again, just tell me, because I'm aware that it's a bit of a weird one, that. So when do you actually move? Okay, yeah. So if you were choosing cards from me and you'd chosen that 3 and that 1, and then you'd stopped playing, you'd said, right, I'm going to end my turn, then you would move, and you could move up to 4 value. So not 4 spaces, but up to 4 value. So yeah, so if you could move 2 spaces. So if you'd only needed 2 to move, even though you've got 4, you can use it to move on to that second space. But that's where the problem comes, because you see, you've got 4 and you think, oh, I only need 1 more, and then I can move on to that third space. So I might as well try and get 1 more card. Do you know what I mean? So you're like, oh, so yeah, so you don't have to use all your cards, basically. Yeah. So this is where the tricky part comes in. So all of the legendary items, you know, I said you needed certain things to be able to defeat the dragon and rescue the sacred cheese. all of the legendary items are worth 3. To play a legendary item, it's the only card you have to play from your own hand. So when you get to the little place where the dragon is on here, the dragon's up here. When you get to there, you have to have one of these in your hand. So they're the cards that previously we've been giving away to other people so that we can move loads, of spaces. As you get towards the end, you've got to judge when you need to keep that card but still have enough to be able to move. So it's quite hard because those spaces at the end, you need a 3 to get onto the space before the dragon. You only need 1 to get onto the space with the dragon, but you also need to have in your own hand now one of the legendary items. So it changes the whole dynamic of the last few rounds of the game, because suddenly you don't want to give away your high value cards, you want to keep those. So it's quite kind of thinky, do you know what I mean? Even though it's a push your luck game, and you're kind of bluffing a bit because you're trying to convince people which cards to take. You might be angling them a bit towards them or whatever. It's quite a clever little game. So yeah. Yeah, I think kids can play it. Let me check what age. I think it's age 8, probably. Oh no, age 6 and up. It is quite tactical, but there's so much chance in it, I think, as well, that you can play it quite happily with children, you know, because it is largely pushing your luck and chance. And I think because it's push your luck as well, you can be a bit kinder when you're playing with children. Do you know what I mean? You can deliberately push it too far to give them a bit more of a fighting chance. I know there's mixed opinions about letting children win, but I think if they never win, they're not going to want to play. Do you know what I mean? You've got to, I feel like I don't mind losing at games if I feel like I was in with a chance. But if I feel like there was absolutely no chance I would win, I wouldn't want to play anymore. And that's as an adult. So I feel like you've got to let children feel like there's a chance, haven't you? I know that's very much divided because some people are like, no, they must learn to lose. But I'm not like that. I'm too soft, probably. So did anyone want to say anything or tell me anything or ask me anything? No, thematically that's not great because it's just a bit weird, but I felt like it's quite nice because it's quite bookish. Do you know what I mean? If you've got like, I don't know, like Alice in Wonderland type books, you could, yeah, Lord of the Rings option, definitely. Or like I was thinking like kind of books that are quite visual, you know, that lend themselves to that sort of pop-up thing. And I feel like if you're quite crafty, that's the sort of thing you could like make, couldn't you? Yeah, love the pop-up book. Cool. So I'm going to show you a pair of games now which are kind of similar to one another in a sense. Oh yeah, if you were really smart you could have different pages. Yeah, if you were really kind of crafty you could have like a proper adventure game, couldn't you? That'd be lovely. And I know like I've made little pop-up books, only like not great, but little ones for my children for birthdays and stuff, and they're not that difficult to make actually. They are doable. And I think I feel like I'd quite like to see some kind of homemade things. Do you know what I mean? It's nice. Oh, that's nice, Tilly. That's nice to read. Oh. So the game I was going to show you is, that's useful. So British Library, loads of videos. Oh, I'm going to go there myself. I've just been muddling through and making them like really haphazardly. I made my son a Fortnite one the other year because he was really into, not Fortnite. That's typical, I'm such a mum, aren't I? Oh, not Fortnite. That other video game, you know, that the kids like. No, it wasn't Minecraft. It was Five Nights at Freddy's. It was, which is terrifying. I can't believe he plays it. So I then, obviously as a responsible mother, made him this terrifying pop-up where the characters like leapt out. But anyway, that's a different story. So I was going to show you Zombie Flux. I think a lot of people have heard of the Flux games before. Maybe. Just down the road from Welcome Collection on Euston Road. All right, okay. I don't know what you mean, Tilly. Five Nights at Freddy's or this? I've like rattled on several Flux games. Right, okay. I won't dwell too long on it then because I think most of you are familiar. Oh, that was the British Library location. I was like, sorry. So Flux is basically like a really chaotic game. You start with this card down, which says basic rules, and it says you draw one and play one. So on your turn, you draw a card and play a card, and that's basically how it starts. But you start with no goal, no way of winning. So you start the game with no conception at all of how you're going to win. And you usually win by having a collection of keepers. So these are cards that when you play them in front of you and you just keep them. So this one is a sonic tranquilizer. And it just says to play this card, place it face up on the table in front of you. And it's a keeper, that stays in front of you, and it might count towards a winning condition. But then there are other cards, action cards, which get you to like redistribute the keepers between people. You could also, so you could play a keeper on your turn, or you could play a goal. So this tells you how you win the game, the goal cards. And the goals change. So if I play this one, because I think that it will help me win, next turn, someone else could change the goal, and then I'm no longer anywhere near winning. So the name Flux, it constantly fluxes and changes. So this one says you win if you have at least 9 zombies in front of you along with the baseball bat. So that's how you win the game. Also, as well as the goals changing constantly through the game, you also get things like new rules. Okay, so that one says ignore the special text on the zombie repellent card. It no longer works. So you get new rules that come into play, and then you might play a card that says get rid of all the rules, and all of them get sided off to one, off the table. You get cards that change how many cards you can play. So that says play 2. There are others that say play 3, play 4, or play all the cards in your hand, and that then gets played. So you've got your basic rules, and that gets played over it. So it covers up and it becomes a new rule. Yeah, Flux is a fun game. Some people really don't like it. It's a little bit Marmite, I think, because some people don't like that constant change and just, it's very unpredictable. It is a little like, it changes with the change of directions and things in that, and the change of colour. But I think it's, I think some people do find it a bit annoying. The thing with it as well is that it can be hard to keep track of the goal. Whereas I think Uno, you can normally keep track of it because you can see the pile, can't you? Whereas this, you're a bit like, oh, what am I doing? What am I doing? So, and that one says draw 4. So you can see if you've got draw 4 and play 2, or draw 4 and play 1, your hand's going to get fuller and fuller, and there is no hand limit. You just keep drawing whatever it is. So it's really chaotic. The other thing, because of the chaos of it, is you can see on the box, it says it takes 10 to 40 minutes. We've literally played a 5-minute game of Flux where someone's played a goal and then I've gone, oh, I've got those 2 keepers and the game's over. Equally, me and my son played till there were hardly any cards left one time. We just played and played, and we must have played for nearly an hour. So, there's that as well, which makes it a bit of a difficult one, because I think generally in games, people want to know, this game will take me half an hour, this game will take me an hour and a half. It doesn't matter how long it takes, it matters that you can allocate that time for it. So, but I think because Flux is such a kind of daft one, it's almost one of those that if you don't get to the end of the game, it doesn't matter, does it? You just kind of pack it away and you go, oh, well, we'll play it later, and you just put it away and play it again. Does anyone want to tell me anything about Flux, or ask me anything, or get me to repeat anything? There's loads in chat, but I think, I think wine definitely both helps and hinders with Flux. Like, there's a lot to be said for Flux and wine. Yeah. So the other game, which is very much in the same vibe as Flux, but if anything even more chaotic, is this. As the name suggests, we didn't play test this at all. There's a second version of it called We Didn't Play Test This at All Either. So just the name's quite funny in itself. This one plays in 1 to 5 minutes. There is a card in it that says, so at the start you have 2 cards in your hand, you play one of them and then you draw a new card. There is a card in here that says, I don't know whether I've picked it out actually. There's a card in here that just says you win. If I play it first, I've won. So the game is over. So sometimes you can be, your game can be over very quickly. Hello, someone's just joined us. Yeah, totally chaotic. So Jasmine, we were just talking about, we didn't play test this at all. It's a really chaotic game. So what I was going to do is I was going to show you some of the cards by getting you to kind of have a go at them. So, so this one is called Nose. So I play the card and basically I play it face up in front of me. And then I do something. Okay, so I'm going to play the card face up in front of me. And then I'm just going to do this. 1, 2, 3. Okay, if you're not touching your nose, you've lost. Right. That's completely random. But also, you play it face up. So if you're really observant in this game and you're like, look, you could have read it if we were playing on a table together. Someone would have read it and they'd be like, oh, quick, touch your nose. So that's quite a good one. The next one you need to say yes or no to, okay? So the question is presents, yes or no. So you can do a thumbs down or a thumbs up. Presents, you want presents? Okay. The present was a poisonous snake. Anyone who chose yes loses. Poison is bad. Then it says underneath, look on the bright side. At least it wasn't snakes and spiders. See? Silver lining. So that's that one. Numbers. It says read aloud and place this card face down. Don't show the last part yet. So this one you would play and you would cover it. So on 3, everyone throws between 1 and 5 fingers in front of them. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay. If the total number of fingers shown was prime, I win. So we'd have to add up. I'm not going to make us do this because it'll take ages. We'd add up all the fingers of everyone who is playing, and if it comes out as prime, then I've won. And then it's got a little list of prime numbers, which is quite helpful along the bottom there, which is, I think, quite useful. Okay, battle. On 3, everyone throws rock, paper, or scissors. So 1, 2, 3. Anyone who threw scissors loses, you're out. I played this with some friends and one of my friends just got really angry. She was like, it's ridiculous. Maybe not anymore. I don't like it anymore. That's exactly what my friend Alice was like. She was like, this is stupid. How do you win? I was like, well, there is no how do you win? It's just chaos. It's just different, silly. Do you know what I mean? So let's have another go at presents. So presents. Yes, the presents was kittens. Anyone who chose no loses, clearly. Why would you ever refuse a mysterious meowing box? That's just silly. And then, oh no's. 1, 2, 3, 4. Anyone else touching their nose when you reach 4 loses. It's just awful, isn't it? And then there's also this card, which I think is quite entertaining, which is Spite. So it says, play this card if another player just won and you're otherwise still in the game. They lose instead, but so do you. Everyone loses. So I feel like after I've just got loads of you out, you'd want to play that on me. Discworld, would it suit that maybe? Yeah. I think it's got that tone, that kind of Terry Pratchett. I can imagine him doing some quite funny cards for that. You could do like, yeah, I Ain't Dead card. Oh, a book made from pages of other books. I don't know what that's in. I missed a bit of chat there, I think. Oh, chaos. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, book made from, oh, that would be really chaotic. Yeah, a kind of mixture of all the Rule Breakers books in one game. That would be amazing. So again, did anyone want to ask me anything? Tell me anything? Announce anything? No? Okay. Right, so I'll show you another one that's a little bit chaotic. This is on the theme of, well, it's not chaotic really, it's just trickier than it sounds. So this is, I was thinking about using games that you know, games that are familiar. Like last week, we were talking about like you can use like the Cluedo layout or a game that people are familiar with, but change it up a little bit. So this one is called Anomia. Do people know this one? I don't know. It's quite a popular party game because you can play it with a really big number of people. And the way it works is you turn over a card in front of you. So this one says card game. So I would place that in front of me. If you match that symbol, so it's like a variation on Snap. If when you turn over, you have that symbol on your card, me and you match. So the first one to say an example of the thing that's on the other person's card wins the pair. So let me find, I'm realizing I should have looked through the pack first. All right, okay, so here we go. So if I've drawn beach, you can be thinking of a beach, right? So Skegness, wherever, okay. So do you know why that was the first one that came to mind? Ibiza, let's think bigger, let's dream bigger. So when you draw that card, which says chocolate bar, you've got a bit of an advantage because my card was out already. So you'd have to shout out the beach and I would have to shout out an example of a chocolate bar. Whoever shouts it out first wins the pair. The difficulty level of that is amazing, actually, because you think, yes, that's fine, I can do that. As soon as there's a table full of cards, so you're looking at everybody's and you're trying to match, basically you end up shouting out the thing that's on your card without fail. At some point during the game, you're supposed to be shouting out a beach and you're going Starbar, Starbar, like, or worse still, you're going, I don't know any beaches, like, just like because of the pressure, just like I don't know any words. So I thought I'd show you that one just quickly because it's Snap basically, but it's really not Snap. So you can take a game that's really familiar that you've maybe played loads in your house or you played loads as a child and just think about maybe putting a different spin on it or adding an element or taking an element away. And that might give you something really unusual and really kind of quirky. So yeah, I'd love to play that one with you. It's really funny. It's really, and when someone mentioned about a glass of wine, it's a really good like night out game. You know, if you know, in the old days, well, and now when you can go to the pub, you can bob that in your bag and it's just hilarious. So last one, because I know I've witted a lot and I've shown you a lot of things. The last type of game I thought I would show you is a roll and write game. Now, roll and write, I'm trying to say that clearly, have become really, really popular. There's been a bit of an upsurge in them. They seem to be everywhere. I've got a book of them somewhere where they've done a whole book full of different roll and write games. This is the one that I've played the most. It's called Cat Cafe and it's by Alley Cat Games. Basically, the forerunners of roll and write games were things like Yahtzee or Beetle. So you roll a dice or you roll a few dice. You might be able to re-roll some of them, or you might choose some of them to use, and then you draw something or you write something on some paper. That's the basic. That's what a roll and write game is. So you roll the dice and you write or draw something. So there's loads of potential in it. And one of the reasons I wanted to show you was, not only is there loads of potential for like, you can do whatever you want with it, it's also really accessible because people are used to like Yahtzee and Beetle from being when they were little. It's quite a game that anyone can play, and all you need is some paper and a pencil and some dice. That's it. That's all you need. And you can play, you can make up whatever game you want with it. I've lost my thread of it. I was going to say something then. I was going to say something about being accessible. It'll come back to me. And it's so quite cheap to produce as well, really, because you're just doing a Izzy, that's exactly what I was going to say. It is quite a brain burner, this one. It's quite a hard one, but you can make easier ones. Or that's what I was going to say. So on this one, I don't know whether you're going to be able to see from our pictures when we've played it, you're drawing in. So you're designing a cat cafe and you're trying to attract cats into your cafe by adding toys and little things to your little climbing things, levels. But we always, well, not all of us in our house, but me and my daughter spend quite a considerable amount of time drawing our balls of yarn and our little mice. My son is like, why is this taking so long? Just draw a mouse. Like, it's like, it doesn't matter if it's just write mouse. But it got me thinking, you could do something where the drawing matters, you know, where it's a slow game. And me and my daughter certainly play it as quite a slow game. So the idea is that you roll the dice. So you've got 5 dice, you roll them, and then you choose a dice that goes in the middle. So it might be like a number 1. And then each person who's playing chooses a dice from what's left. So if I've got a 1 and a 6, I've got the choice to either, so I look on my sheet and number 1 is a cat house and number 6 is a little mouse. So they're my choices. I can draw a mouse or a cat house. Okay. And I can use the other one to decide which level. You see how they're all on different levels? So I can either draw a mouse on level 1 on the bottom level, or I can draw a cat house on level 6. So that's how the dice work. Okay, so I've got a 1 and a 6. I can also manipulate the value of the dice by passing. So if I pass this turn, I get some paw prints. And that means that next turn I can then say, right, I'm going to use 2 of my paw prints to bring that 6 down to a 4. Because what I want to do is I want to draw like a cushion or a ball of yarn or whatever. And they all, the like thinky bit of it is they all score differently. So your house scores depending on which cat and how many cats, how many of those houses you've got. Your balls of wool, your yarn balls, if you've got the majority, if you've got the most balls of yarn out of everyone, you score more. So that's about having a majority. The food bowl, you have to have in the adjacent squares different items, whereas the mouse, you're trying to make a connection of mice across to score. So each one scores differently. So you're kind of looking at what other people are doing and gauging whereabouts they are, like, oh, they look like they might be ahead, I might have to do something about that. And then also you can choose when you end the game by completing these columns. So the other thing you're trying to do is play for long enough that you've got enough points, but not so long that they've got too many. So there's loads of things to think about. But yeah, like you say, it looks really cute, and it's described as a light roll and write. I looked on the description, I was like, light? That's not light, that's deceptive. It's really hard. So unless it's just me. But yeah, so that's a roll and write game, and I just thought that might be quite an interesting one because you could explore all sorts of things with that. And I think that general premise of having a choice of a thing on that level or a thing on that level is quite a nice one, and the ability to manipulate the dice is nice if you're thinking of doing something like that. But yeah, so that was, I think I've rattled through all of the games that I was thinking of. Yeah, the shared. Yeah, so like Izzy says, that one of the dice stays in the middle, so that one everyone has to use, and then the other dice is the one that you choose, that you pick. So you can also think, oh, you're going to go for that one because I know that you're trying to get loads of mice connected, so I'm going to take that instead, even though I don't want to draw a mouse. You know what I mean? So you can kind of mess people up. It's good. And like I say, it's just some dice. That was like a blank picture of some poles with levels on. The nice thing is they've put little symbols on that remind you of the scoring as well. So everything you need to play the game is there. I mean, the first few times you need the key and the rule book, but once you've played a couple of times, that's it. That's all you need. And there's a pad of those in the book. So super accessible as well. I think that's really nice. So yeah. Does anyone want to ask me anything or talk to us about your games? Or, oh yeah, someone said they know Anomia. Yeah, it's good. It's done. Yeah, it's a good game, isn't it? So the kitten game is called Cat Cafe. Yeah, so I don't know whether you want to talk through any ideas or whether you're all keeping things. It is, yeah, like I say, my son writes in what he's got. He puts M for mouse and Y for yarn. So it depends, it depends. And then he just gets, oh yeah, and Izzy says she just draws circles. I just quite enjoy the drawing. I find it quite therapeutic. But then if you're playing with somebody who finds it therapeutic, it's probably quite irritated. She's probably like, could have finished 3 games of this by now. Yeah, Nicole says, I'm with your son, let us all away. Yeah, I'd be driving you mad. You'd be like, come on, could have finished 3 games of this. You're still like, hang on, I just need to do the stringy bit on my arm. So yeah. Oh, good, Emma. I'm glad I've shown you some things that you've not seen before. Yeah. Oh my goodness, that would be amazing. I did some game sessions at the Cat Cafe in Leeds and it was hilarious. The cats were just all over all the games. Just really funny. They kept trying to steal the yellow counters in the Connect 4. They weren't bothered about the red ones, but they were like, I'll have the yellow one. Cute. Yeah. Yeah, Cat Lady. I've heard of that. That's supposed to be really good. Yeah, it's supposed to be a good game. Oh, really? That's lovely. Oh, does she not knock the pieces off?
Yeah, he just chases the pieces, especially likes dice and chasing after them.
That's cute though.
I was just thinking, is it worth us circulating a list of games to everyone that you've covered over the 4 weeks?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a record of them, so I'll, definitely.
I think we've all been desperately trying to take notes.
Oh, yeah. Well, and if you want recommendations or anything, people can always give me a shout on Facebook or whatever. And hopefully at some point I'll be starting up events again eventually. So then if people want to come along and try them, either before you buy it or instead of buying them, then that's what I'm there for, really.
We can share the Facebook group link as well that we've set up, because we're putting all of our links and you can share ideas in there and ask us questions if you want to. So join up for that. So yeah, Rianne's just put that in. Thanks, Rianne. Yeah, there's been so many games. It's been fantastic 4 weeks. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, good. It's really bombarded you with games, but
that's what we wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is everyone keeping all their ideas secret then for their designs? Is that what's happening?
Silence, yes.
No, I've posted pictures on the group. I've done little and with
the little boats.
Yeah. Okay. Let's be honest. The little boats have their own game. But I was actually thinking I could set this up to be an expansion, and then if you actually really like playing the little boat game, because that's all about fighting boats, but mine's all about the novels and the experience of Master and Commander, which is more about life at sea in the Navy. And it turns out most of the time you're not actually having battles. You're what was one of the good ones? All of the sailors came back from shore leave and they'd sold their good clothes to buy more booze. And the guy had to use sailcloth and make the guys all sew themselves new clothes because they basically came back in their underwear. So I'm trying to capture that kind of aspect of Master and Commander, and not like the boat fights, because the boat fights are awesome, but like, you know, they spent 3 chapters being chased by a boat. And it's not really, the battles often take it's like 2 minutes, an entire chapter, and they're super, super fast. So I'm trying to have a game that isn't about fighting. And I've been nerding out. Pardon?
A game about selling all your clothes for booze is hilarious.
Like another one of my cards. So they're one of the characters that's really important in the novels. Okay, so there's there's like the ship's captain, and then his best friend, who's a surgeon, but he's also a spy. And the first several books, they're both in love with this one woman. So I thought about how can I have her in there, and so what I've got is a card that's called the most beautiful woman in the world. And she's a card that you can pick up while you're in port. And if it was Flux, she'd be a creeper. So she's one of the cards that you can't get rid of. But every time you go to port, you roll the dice to see if she finds a richer captain to stay with, in which case, in my rules, you shuffle it back in the deck. But if she makes it all the way back to London with you, basically you have to marry her, and you lose 25% of your fortune because she spends it all on dresses. So that's like, you know, that's some of the stuff I'm trying to do to capture the flavor of the novel and make it fun.
Really good fun.
But I want to know what other books people are using. I'm really interested, because I actually I opened up a book that I had that was by Philip Pullman, and it was a little bitty book, and in the back pocket there was a little paper game that was a ballooning game, and it even had it had a little spinner, and you're supposed to hold a pencil down on top of the spinner so that it would tell you where to move. And I was like, every book ought to just have a little game with it. That would be great.
Yeah, that would be lovely. And a map at the front. Every book should start with a map at the front.
Yeah.
Name in a pocket in the back.
Yeah, it was. I think it would be great. So what other books are people interested in? I want to know.
Will's working on a Frankenstein one.
Yes.
Which I think sounds really cool. And I think you said it's about kind of a double wedding, which is a really nice twist.
Yeah, because Frankenstein, it goes quite depressing with what happens. But what if instead of that it was nice?
A happy ending.
Yeah. Although it's been very complicated, my brain working on it, but I finally cracked it, because it was the romance aspect of it that was taking the most time. Because it's very easy to have mechanics about digging up bits of bodies and then reanimating them. That's fine. But then how to work that also into like going on dates, it was a difficult thing, but I've more or less got it now. So yeah, I've just been writing up like an intro thing, and then yeah, I'm hoping to have that done tomorrow maybe, or Saturday. So yeah, it is very fun. but also, yeah, definitely broke my brain trying to work through things. I've got like a lot of pages of notebook stuff. I guess I should probably post some photos of. But yeah. Anyway, yeah. Sorry, I didn't want to talk because I was like, I'm too interested in like what other people other people are doing, and then like, yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna go.
Sounds great.
That sounds awesome, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. That's great. I've just remembered there was one that came up. I did a tweet the other week about what inspires people to make board games, because I thought that might help us to think about different ways of being inspired. And lots of people said lots of different things. There was all sorts of people who said they had dreams, and people who said that they'd designed it because they played a game with some components thinking they were playing the right game, and then realized they weren't at all, and decided to then make the game that they had played. Do you know what I mean? But one person responded, Catherine Stipple, and she said that she made a game called Nyctophobia, which was quite popular when it came out. It's only quite recent. It's a really good game, but she designed it specifically for her uncle because her uncle is blind. And she was saying that, you know, a lot of people's experience of, and I know that people have said this to me as well, like for people who are blind, the general thing is, oh, we'll play a co-op game because then, you know, it doesn't matter that you can't see it because we can tell you. But then that can be very frustrating because you're not kind of involved in the game, because it too soon escalates into someone just telling you what to do on your turn. There's also that problem that then, you know, because you can't see your cards, you've got to then try and either remember everything. So you're under tremendous pressure to remember everything, or you've got to be told what they are every single turn, which can make you feel a bit uncomfortable. Or, you know, people have said, you know, it's not an ideal situation. It's far better if you can play things that are tactile, or have got there's a company that do overlays. So I've got a game called Suro, which has got like a sticky thing that I've put on top of it, so you can feel the route, so you can play and you can feel where everything is. So actually that's fine for blind people. And when you play your card, they've each got a sticky label on, so you can feel, so you don't need to be able to see. But anyway, she made Nyctophobia, which is it's like a game where you're in a forest and you're being pursued by some monster and you've got to escape, but it's all completely tactile, and everyone has to play in these dark glasses that make it so that you can't see anything. They're like special glasses, and you can't see anything at all, and you have to let people guide your hand and move your hand for you. Sounds amazing. I've not played it, but I've heard of it. Yeah, so that was just another thing, thinking about designing for a specific person who's got like maybe a specific need, or a specific, you know, they would want a specific game, because that's what inspired her, and that's been really successful. So yeah, it's nice, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know if anyone's played it or come across it. No, it's one to look out for. I think I'm going to certainly keep an eye out for it.
Sounds great. Just makes sure that everyone's on one level, doesn't it? Like the same level. Yeah. It must be frustrating if someone else has been like describing something. Yeah.
And I think also it gives you a bit of insight to what it's like. Do you know what I mean? Because you literally you can't see anything. You're totally. People have said it's like a really terrifying game, because it's kind of like you are reliant on other people, and you can really get into it, and it's quite like unsettling and yeah, odd. But that's probably quite good in its own way, isn't it? Because then you're experiencing only for a split, you know, only for a very short time, but yeah.
Has anyone else ever played any games like that? Or cool, that's nice. All right.
I think everyone's got a lot to think about, haven't they?
Definitely.
Did you want to just quickly mention your rulebook toolkit, Anne?
Oh, yeah.
Just
So
in case people are interested in getting that.
Yeah, so I've designed a toolkit for writing like the perfect rule book, because one of the issues that people have with board games is you get the game out and then the rule book either isn't very clear, or you end up doing that thing where you kind of, I've done it loads of rule books, so I'll read it out loud to the group and then someone will go, no, I think it means this, and you're like, no, it means this. And you do that thing where I'll read it, putting the emphasis on some words, like first you must do da, 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 da. And then you pass it to them and they're like, no, first you must do. Just put the emphasis slightly differently to reinterpret it, and you end up spending valuable time Googling or all of that nonsense. And also, I think not only is that a bad experience for people playing your game, it's bad for the people who've made it, because they made that game, didn't they? They spent hours and hours making the game and making it perfect. And then you want people to have that experience of your game. So if you're putting a game out there, you want people to love it and play it immediately and get loads out of it. You don't want them wasting time Googling and faffing about. So I made this toolkit so that people can work through systematically and check through their rulebook, and also make sure it's written really, really clearly. So it's got things in, like there's a section on inclusivity. That's really important for your audience, to make sure everyone is involved, feels part of the game. It's got stuff about like your grammar and your punctuation and your spelling, just reminders about all those sorts of things. And then it's also got stuff about like, how you can double check that your book works, how you can make sure that you're consistent, checking your consistency, because that's something that can drift as you start off with the rules and you make changes to the game as you're play testing. And sometimes it might be that you change what you're calling one of the components. So you might say, draw from this deck, and then you move on, and then later on you call it a different deck. And those little changes then mean that I'm playing it like, is it this? Am I drawing from here? Am I putting it here? So those things are really easy to pick up on. So I've made like checklists. There's little quizzes to do. And there's a little video at the start of each section introducing it. And also I've put in like what a good one looks like, little examples, so that you can look at some rule books and see what other people have done, a bit like we have here, look at different examples and think, oh, I definitely want to do that. And I've tried to focus on what a good one looks like, rather than doing it negatively. Look at what is good and how that's good for you. So you can get that, there's a link on my Facebook page and on my Twitter and on my website, and it's £25, and it's got over 13 hours worth of stuff for you to do. So if you're interested in refining your rule book at some point, then it's a good thing to get. I'm assuming obviously that you're going to enter a game, it's going to be fantastic, and at some point